What's up guys, welcome to Voicey here. This is your host, Captain Zach, and today's subreddit is r/IDontWorkHereLady. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. This story's called, That Was Costly for the Manager. English isn't my first language, and as the original discussion wasn't in English either, it is a bit paraphrased. The bad part of this story is the fact that this story involves some racism as well. I have met with a very nice friend of mine. She is one of the players of a Shadowrun 3rd edition game I run. She would hate if I would call her Roma, even if that is a more politically correct word, but she prefers the word gypsy, and she has several perfectly valid and pretty strong reasons for it. She had spent quite a lot of time in prison, but luckily not as a convict, but as a guard. As her family often says, the best way to counter racist stereotypes is to work in law enforcement, corrections, and similar careers. It happened a few years ago, but just today she managed to tell me the update to the story because she has recognized Karen as one of the inmates. Yes, Karen acted entitled again, but no, that part does not belong here. Sadly, as racism is involved and prejudice towards gypsies is less known to readers in English countries, I have to mention that part of the story too. Most villages and towns were unable to support all kinds of craftsmen for some time, so some people who had a nomadic lifestyle were specialized in these trades. As they have traveled together and had fairs wherever they were needed, some of them were craftsmen, others were entertainers, also diviners, etc. This is also the reason why they tend to have contact with large extended families, why they are seen as so loud, etc. So that is how some of them are good at cursing, and that is why you see their wagons in horror movies. Their presence is part of our culture, and when you visit some older famous Hungarian restaurant and hear some Hungarian music, that is often gypsy music. As they have traveled a lot, some of the gypsy dishes are very interesting variations of Hungarian dishes. They often make good food from cheaper ingredients. Also, their economy often recycled plenty of broken junk that was left out for them. When they were forced to settle by the communist regime, that created a lot of conflicts due to different lifestyles. Also, as trying to collect junk to recycle and actual stealing were seen as similar, quickly too many of them ended up with criminal backgrounds, being poor, etc. But sometimes, theft and violence ended up as we versus them conflicts, which led to prejudice, sometimes segregation. So this made integration pretty hard for some. Gypsy people who work in law enforcement are very important not only to counter some stereotypes, but because they can help stop us versus them type of portrayal of problems. They can explain that when someone steals from people, creates problems, and pulls out the race card and the us versus them narrative, that is a source of racism. They are overrepresented in prison's party for this reason too. They don't commit more crimes than anyone else. Maybe if we count software piracy, some white-collar crimes, some traffic-related crimes, they commit less. But the us versus them justification and poor human victims, their loudness, etc., make them look bad. And an us versus them justification that mentions the race of the victim of petty theft is seen as worse than shoplifting of similar value. So here's the cast. There's me, my friend, Karen, also called Miss Insignificant, Stupid Manager, Security Guard, Police Officer 1, Police Officer 2. Both I and my friend dress casually, so we really didn't look like store employees. I am a big guy, tall and overweight. Not as overweight as some obese guys you see overseas, but it slows me down. So even if I am relatively tall, closer to 190 centimeters than to 180 centimeters, and around 100 kilograms, I move a bit slowly, so not that intimidating. My friend is shorter. As she is a woman, even her around 170 centimeter muscular body is above average height. So she was a bit taller than Karen, who was more like 160 centimeters or less. Yet, even if my friend is a woman, she can be very intimidating. As she hates the drama with female inmates, she thought the ideal position for her would be in some of the prisons where she can deal with the worst kinds of criminals. Less drama there. Yet, you know you can't always have the best jobs, so even without realizing her exact job and position, I have to mention sometimes that she has to deal with a lot of Karens and drama queens. Yet, as we discuss the game and her character, she had her tablet in hand, with some spreadsheet open on it. This Karen didn't surprise us, as she was already yelling on the phone. We've seen her with her face all red from anger. At that time, we haven't seen Karen stories, so we had no chance to recognize her as a Karen. Yet we recognized her as something else. We decided to call her Miss Insignificant. We still prefer to play Shadowrun 3rd edition instead of later versions. We often point to alternative campaign types. We also point out where its matrix rules, etc. are better, but mostly because we prefer if our characters and NPCs are like living people in a game setting. So we prefer detailed characters, depth, and plenty of things. So the people we see might be source material for interesting NPCs. We have quickly decided that Karen looks like a very insignificant wage slave who tries to compensate and look important by acting entitled and rude. Karen was loud enough to make sure that most people around her notice her and already have an opinion. Karen probably had a simple enough mind, already busy with the fact that she was late and angry and can't find anything. So after hanging up her phone, she looked for help, and she decided we should help her. Too bad she hadn't learned basic manners, so it started without the usual excuse me or anything.
You two, help me find blank and
blank
now.
As my friend was busy on her tablet, it was my time to reply. We don't know where it is, we don't work here, and we don't have time to help you.
Do you know who I am?
No customer service smile from me. I don't know who she is, but I am sure she is very unimportant. Probably an unimportant secretary or similar, not sure. Worst of all, she, like most of the Karens we have read about, decided not to listen. I begin to reply, someone who hasn't learned. She proceeded to slap me. She probably didn't want to hear about how she hadn't learned a few things, manners included. So I was shocked, but also getting angry at this time. Well, Hungarian is quite a colorful language, but when it comes to cursing, gypsies, and especially gypsy women, can be far more colorful and skilled. And some of their cursings are, well, actual curses. They often name demons responsible for various diseases from anthrax to leprosy. Yet, even her colorful cursing usually doesn't name stroke from all the anger and entitlement. She wasn't in her work-related mindset yet, as it was a bit shocking and unexpected. That was the moment when Karen decided to grab her tablet and yell,
"Now that you don't have that stupid distraction, you should..."
As it was a surprise move again, she succeeded. And she quickly even forgot her own shopping needs and everything. Her simple mind was focused on winning, on the conflict over the tablet, and how she wants to prove she is someone superior. It is bad. My first reaction was to try to record everything. Too bad, even if we can try to hold her back till the police arrive, we aren't allowed to use any violence that might hurt her to get the tablet back. That wouldn't be self-defense. Even holding her back would be risky if we would try anything before she tries to make a run for it. Wait for security? Wait for store staff? Call the police? Not the most effective. So Karen managed to shout how she is going to lecture us, how that is why she has taken the tablet, and she also made a few racist comments. A verbal warning about severe consequences managed to scare Karen, but it didn't make her give back the tablet, but to run for it. She had a bit of a head start, and as she managed to push a cart in our direction, it made the head start bigger. Grabbing other carts or pulling some stuff off of shelves to be a barrier helped her to run, yet my friend ran after her. The store manager has seen a Karen screaming that a gypsy is trying to rob her, beat her, etc., and a gypsy woman chasing her and claiming Karen robbed her. He has also seen a big white guy, me, trying to run after the gypsy woman. So, when my friend managed to catch Karen, the manager instructed the security guard to stop my friend. The guard initially tried to stop both Karen and my friend, as it would be normal. Too bad the manager told him to catch my friend and let the Karen flee. It was maybe a split-moment decision, but a very bad one. Normally, you are expected to cooperate with the security guard and the store manager, but normally, they wouldn't be racist. They would stop both parties and we would have a chance to fix the issue calmly, as Karen did enough damage in the story. That manager was already red in anger too emotional to listen to reason or to know what is right and what is wrong. When a manager lets a thief or robber, as she grabbed the items by force and was violent even before, go, and there is also excessive force unwarranted by the situation, that is clearly the point where you no longer expected to endure the ordeal, right? Sort of. Self-defense without any sort of warning would be out of line, as it wouldn't be necessary self-defense. And even if the manager and the guard broke the law, they probably weren't aware of that yet, and escalating the problem wouldn't be nice. You should release my friend immediately. She did nothing wrong. A simple enough statement towards the manager while my friend tried to reason with the guard. No, she tried to rob that woman. You two will pay for all the freaking damage to the store. She'll be in jail for robbery and you'll be in there for helping her. He was yelling. I have recorded some of it. So do our security cameras, moron. He yelled still. More proof to prove you wrong. If you don't stop this, you will face legal consequences. This is your first and only warning. Store manager says to security guard, catch that? Anti-Semitic slur. For helping that? Racist slur. Sexist slur too. I say to the security guard, if you try that, I can hold you back till the cops come. You commit a crime and we can act in self-defense. Store manager yelling towards security guard, I told you to catch that! More anti-Semitic slur. There kinda helps robbers. Oh, so he thought I am a Jewish lawyer. Well, I have some Jewish blood in my veins, but I am an IT guy. Too bad I've mentioned self-defense and defending others is also an option. Too bad it didn't look like a credible option so far. I've acted mostly calm and my friend didn't even resist physically, so acting in self-defense didn't look like a credible threat. The security guard had 3 people yelling at him. The manager, me, and my friend, so he was unable to listen. A manager was mad because of the destruction, acted racist, and he was clearly not thinking straight. But the next moment, it all quickly changed. I've warned them about the possibility of self-defense, so my friend quickly ended up on top of the security guard. You can guess, when they tried to protest, we just said, I have warned them about the possibility of self-defense and that both their video and ours will prove we were the victims. They helped the criminal. One of them were racist and discriminative, other uses excessive force illegally. The security guard was quick to understand and he said that he was just following orders. Blamed his job for this. I decided to be a bit of a smartass and asked what kind of crime he wouldn't do on the command of the manager. I mentioned that if 2 people accuse each other, he should stop them both. But I also mentioned that as the issue was about the tablet, it would make sense to keep the tablet here. So what he did was unprofessional, unethical, unlawful regardless of who did what. He got my point and started to apologize quickly while the manager ranted, complained, moaned, etc. But my friend called the police and the other relevant authorities. So it was time to show the video which made it clear that Karen stole the tablet and she was rather offensive. So security guard apologized again. And he was the one who wasn't all emotional and managed to understand what happened. He quickly told any approaching store employees that we acted well within our rights, while the manager moaned. Security guard says to manager, do you want to end up in jail? Why would I? Discrimination. It isn't a crime. That is true. It isn't a crime, but the store can be fined for it. Asking the guard to stop me when I wasn't a threat with a racist comment might be a crime. Too many racist comments publicly? It might be a crime. But breaking professional rules, including rules prohibiting discrimination, can be a crime if it creates some kind of risks. And getting physical with a guard would create the risk. I hope you can see my point. How he helped a thief to get away with stolen property might be some other legal problem. And if it happened because of prejudice, that is another problem. But to be honest, I doubt if you would be put in jail even for all of it. So they have ended up arguing, and the manager didn't even apologize. We used the time to decide what to do next. Neither of us wanted to make big legal troubles for the store or the manager, but we wanted to make him apologize, and as without his intervention, my friend would probably have her tablet still. We wanted some significant compensation. In pure rage, he was prejudiced. But if he would be really racist, he probably wouldn't have the position, and when bad experiences, rage, etc. speak, because someone can't think straight, punishing someone who tries not to be racist wouldn't help with racism. But we shouldn't lose anything because of it. We've expected to wait a lot for the police, and maybe some arguments with them too, as self-defense against a manager and having to hold him back is a bit unusual. Yet luckily, 2 officers arrived rather quickly. They haven't really followed the protocol, but I can't really blame them.
You better have a good explanation for this.
Yeah, right. We better have. As I am a big guy, they probably have assumed that they have to talk to me first. Sounds reasonable.
They're acting within their rights by holding back the manager till you arrive.
Good afternoon, officer. The security guard is right. We have held back the manager until you arrived. While it would be both very unusual to hold someone for bad comments, I'm not a Nazi. That was not a hate speech. I just said that because...
Sir, I would advise you to shut up before you would incriminate yourself.
Oh, it wasn't about the racist comments. It was about 2 false accusations. So let's not hear those comments yet, but I would like to give you some context. Can I show you a little video recording unofficially first?
Yeah, that's okay.
I have shown him my video recording, focused on Karen part. That is why my friend has called you. Would you be so kind as to let her report that crime? And after that, we can discuss what happened next. But I haven't stopped the video yet. Police Officer 1 was okay with that, but still paid attention to us and to the video. I have turned to the manager, but Police Officer 2 paid more attention to our discussion. Now, let's speak about your behavior. I have told you I am not a racist.
You aren't?
Why don't we have...
You aren't? Why don't we have the stolen tablet and the thief here then? Why have you accused the victims? I haven't heard an apology from you. You don't try to make anything right. Yet they are still trying to give you chances to fix it without worse consequences.
But he learned it is better for him. He is willing to compensate us for both the lost tablet, the lost data, and for his behavior if the police would get involved officially and his bosses would learn about that part. That would be much worse for him. He would spend far more on lawyers than what he would have to pay for us, if he's willing to compensate for everything and make the problem go away. At first, he wanted to buy a tablet, because we lost one, and some expensive drinks for his behavior. But it ended up with a tablet of our choice in a reasonable range. Still a significant upgrade over the lost one. The new tablet was a Surface. It was the right choice. Wow, so this story turned out to be entertaining as well as informative. We are now all somewhat educated on how, people mistreat Roma or Gypsy people. I'm not sure if that's an actual slur. I don't know. I've heard it was a slur, but also I've heard it wasn't a slur, so I guess I shouldn't say it just to be safe. However, that's some screwed up stuff. People let stupid preconceived notions get in the way of actual statistics and factual information, which I guess is a problem everywhere, especially in America. Climate change deniers, man. Am I right? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.